So in topic 12, we have these tools under 12.6 here about negotiation tactics. So if you remember, there's essentially two types of negotiations. We have our distributive, and then we have our integrative, right? So our distributed negotiations, we have these kind of tools. So investing time into the negotiation, or walking away from the negotiation, right? Or setting a deadline. This deal only lasts this long. We have a sale going on, like for a car. Let's say you're negotiating for a car. They might try to tell you, well, there's a lot of people looking at this car and it won't last long. Or these prices only last until, Thursday. Well, these kind of things kind of force people to say something, right? So anchors, using anchors. Well, you can, like for a car, let's say, well, we've already negotiated this part of the aspect, so we're good on that. We're not going to talk about that one anymore. So for a car, well, we've already negotiated the trade-in value. Well, that one's done, right? They're using it as an anchor. We've already done with this. Now let's move on to this. What kind of payments do you want? They'll keep it moving along like that. For a car, when you do a trade-in, they tell you everything that's wrong with your car, right? Well, you know what's wrong with your car because you drive it every day. So they're trying to lower your expectations for these negotiations. So they're trying to claim value, and they're trying to make you feel like you have to give up that value. So hitting the pause button. If you say, for example, your negotiation for a car, let's keep that going, and you pretend to take a phone call. Well, you can say, excuse me, I have to take this phone call. Well, you just paused it, right? So you're in control. And then you can come in and say, hey, I have to go because of this reason. My mother needs me, my wife needs me, my husband needs me, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case. Or, oh, I forgot about an appointment, I got to go now. You can do that. That's part of hit the pause button and maybe walking away. Employ silence. When you are silent, people have this natural desire to fill the silence. And if you are consciously being silent, the other person's going to want to say something. Like if I say something like, well, what do you think of this deal? And I just stay silent. Well, you're going to have the natural tendency to say something. And it's the same thing in negotiations. When you're talking to suppliers and vendors and all these other companies, the person who usually talks first, they say if you break that silence, you lose. It's not always that way. Take a moment, step back, because there's silence. You have time to think, right? No one's interrupting your thoughts. Think. Reassess your emotions at that time. Just take a moment. Or take as long as you need. Hit the pause button. And then using threats. You should really do this sparingly. There's no reason to threaten anybody. Now, yes, you can do that. You can say, well, we're going to take our business elsewhere. Yeah, I'm sure companies have heard that time and time again. But if you're going to make a threat, make sure you have the ability to follow through with it. Because as soon as they realize that you don't have that kind of power, you've just taken yourself down a peg or two in the negotiation. They now see you as weaker in your negotiation stance. Playing dumb. You can play dumb by saying, well, I have to talk to the engineers about this. Oh, can you explain this to me? That kind of thing. Even though you should have done your research and know everything you need to know about what you're sourcing, playing dumb can make them feel like they're superior. And when people feel superior, they're more apt to make a mistake. Or they're more apt to help. They have that I need to help you feeling. And so they might let their guard down a little bit and agree to a better price because they feel like you need the help. Have you ever heard of "it's my first day" or "I'm new here"? Those kind of phrases. Chances are it's true, but some people say that just to make it seem or to make you feel like you need to give a little bit more leeway. So you want to also question their assumptions. Question your own assumptions. If you're assuming that they want to get the highest price out of you and give you the lowest quality, Well, do they really? Do they stand behind their products? What's their mission and vision statements? What is their strategy for their company? If their strategy is to give you the best quality at the lowest prices, well, ask them about it, question it. You can say, is this the best quality you can give me? Or is this the best price you can give me? Or you can say, can you help me out with that price? I'm not sure if I can do that. I got to talk to my boss, but can you help me out a little bit on this price or whatever area you're negotiating? So, and then you can always shift the focus to an integrative negotiation. So distributive, if you remember, there's a pie. You're trying to get a bigger piece of the pie. But integrative, you're making the pie bigger so both sides get a bigger piece of the pie. So, integrative negotiations. So you're pursuing interests. You're trying to figure out how to make everybody have a win-win situation. And you're exploring possibilities. You're not just hitting a brick wall and saying, well, I guess that's it. No, you're hitting the brick wall and saying, well, how high is this brick wall? Can I go around this brick wall? Can we dig under the brick wall? Or can we blast right through this brick wall? All these different possibilities. You just have to ask questions and think outside the box sometimes. Building trust. If you talk to this person and you understand their side of it, they'll trust you more. If you know some personal things about them because they've told you, or you found their Facebook page and you saw, hey, their grandmother just celebrated a 95th birthday. You can say, well, something hopefully not creepy, but most people expect to be researched when they're into negotiations. You can say, hey, I was poking around Facebook and I saw your profile because I looked you up and I saw your grandmother had a 95th birthday. Did she have a good birthday? You just took the conversation away from the negotiation for a minute and you showed that you value them as a person, which will definitely help your negotiations most of the time. Some people may not. And they'd be like, oh, she's doing good. Let's get back to this. But I'd say 8 times out of 10, people are going to be thinking that you care about them. And whether you care for them or not, you need to work with that. That could be a tactic that you use. And share the benefits. If it's getting to the end of the month, and let's say they have a quota and they told you they have a quota, you might say, well, if you give it to me this price, I can get it signed up to my boss to get a signature today. Or you can say, well, I'm looking for a long-term relationship and I want you to be our point of contact for the sales on this. You're building the benefits for both people. You have someone you can contact that you don't need to start from scratch with again. And they know exactly what you guys need and you're kind of promising, but not promising, future business. So all of these things can definitely help you out in negotiations. So consider these. These are tactics that you can use. You can use all of them. You can use none of them. You can use some that you've invented yourself. But have a tactic. Have a strategy of how you're going to go about negotiations, and you'll do well. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to our next talk. All right. Bye.